Did Roman gladiators fight for glory, freedom, or something else entirely? Dive into the complex world of these ancient warriors and discover the surprising realities behind their lives and motivations. Gladiators. The word alone conjures images of brutal fighters locked in mortal combat, their swords clashing in the blood-soaked sands of the arena, while a roaring crowd bays for death. For many, this is the sum total of what gladiators were: mindless killing machines, slaves forced to fight for the entertainment of the masses. But this is a misconception, a simplification of a far more complex and fascinating reality. Gladiators were not just fighters. They were warriors with diverse backgrounds, skilled professionals, and in some cases, celebrities who wielded influence far beyond the arena. Their lives were shaped by rigorous training, social mobility, and the ever-present specter of death, but also by the possibility of fame, wealth, and even freedom. In this exploration, we will journey into the world of the gladiator, uncovering the truths behind the myths and revealing the multifaceted lives of these iconic figures of ancient Rome. Let us begin by dispelling the myth that gladiators were merely brutal combatants. While it is true that their profession was one of violence, the reality is that gladiators were highly trained warriors, each specializing in a particular style of combat. Take, for example, the retiarius, a gladiator who fought with a net and trident, relying on speed and agility to ensnare his opponent. Then there was the secutor, heavily armed with a sword and shield, designed to counter the retiarius with brute strength and defense. And let us not forget the Samnite, one of the earliest types of gladiators, who fought with a short sword and a large rectangular shield, embodying the martial traditions of Rome's enemies. These were not just fighters, they were performers, each with their own unique role in the deadly drama of the arena. But who were these men, and occasionally women, who stepped into the arena? The answer is as varied as the types of gladiators themselves. Many were prisoners of war or slaves, captured in Rome's far-flung conquests and condemned to fight for their lives. Others were criminals, sentenced to the arena as a form of punishment. Yet, surprisingly, some were volunteers, free citizens of Rome who chose the life of a gladiator, lured by the promise of fame, wealth, or simply the thrill of battle. These volunteers, often from the lower rungs of society, saw in the arena a chance to escape poverty or to gain the admiration of the masses. Even more astonishing is the fact that some Roman nobles and even emperors, like the infamous Commodus, donned the gladiator's armor, seeking to prove their martial prowess or to bask in the adulation of the crowd. Once they entered the world of the gladiator, these individuals were thrust into a grueling existence. Gladiatorial schools, known as ludi, were the training grounds where they were forged into warriors. These schools were not mere prisons. They were institutions of discipline and skill, where gladiators underwent rigorous physical training under the watchful eyes of experienced trainers, often former gladiators themselves. The training was brutal, designed to build strength, endurance, and mastery of weapons. But it was also a path to potential advancement. A skilled gladiator could rise through the ranks, earning not only the respect of his peers, but also the adoration of the public. Some even became celebrities, their names etched into the annals of history, their likenesses immortalized in mosaics and statues. Yet, for all the potential glory, the life of a gladiator was one of constant danger. The arena was a place of spectacle, but it was also a place of death. Gladiatorial games were grand events, steeped in ritual and symbolism. They were not just about bloodshed, they were about power, politics, and the maintenance of Roman social order. emperors and politicians used the games to curry favor with the masses, to distract them from the hardships of daily life, and to reinforce the might of Rome. The games were a display of Rome's dominance over its enemies, with gladiators often dressed as barbarians or mythical foes, symbolizing the triumph of civilization over chaos. And within this spectacle, the gladiators themselves became symbols of Roman virtues, courage, discipline, and the ability to face death with honor. The combat itself was a carefully orchestrated affair. Far from the chaotic free-for-alls depicted in modern media, gladiatorial battles were governed by strict rules and regulations. Fighters were matched against opponents of similar skill and experience, and referees oversaw the contests to ensure fairness. The goal was not always death. In fact, many fights ended with one gladiator yielding, spared by the mercy of the crowd or the sponsor of the games. Gladiators were valuable assets, and their owners, known as lanistae, had little interest in seeing them slaughtered needlessly. Yet, death was always a possibility, and the crowd's thirst for blood could sometimes override pragmatism. When a gladiator fell, the decision of life or death was often left to the spectators, who signaled their will with the infamous thumbs up or thumbs down, though the exact gesture remains a matter of debate among historians. But what of life beyond the arena? For those who survived long enough, retirement was a possibility. A gladiator who had proven his worth could be granted his freedom, symbolized by the rudis, a wooden sword that marked the end of his fighting days. Some retired gladiators became trainers, passing on their skills to the next generation. Others, having won the favor of the elite, were granted citizenship or even wealth. The story of the gladiator was not always one of tragedy. For some, it was a path to a better life, a chance to rise above their station and achieve what few in Roman society could. And yet, the legacy of the gladiator extends far beyond the sands of the arena. These warriors left an indelible mark on Roman culture, inspiring art, literature, and even the development of modern sports. The image of the gladiator has endured through the centuries, captivating the imagination of countless generations. From the epic films of Hollywood to the pages of historical novels, the gladiator remains a symbol of courage, skill, and the human will to survive against all odds. But perhaps the most enduring legacy of the gladiator is the reminder that history is never as simple as it seems. These were not just fighters. They were men and women who navigated a world of violence, fame, and social upheaval, leaving behind a story that continues to fascinate and inspire. So, as we conclude this journey into the world of the gladiator, let us remember that their lives were far more than the sum of their battles. They were captives and professionals, slaves and celebrities, warriors and symbols. Their story is one of complexity and contradiction, a testament to the multifaceted nature of human experience. And for those who wish to delve deeper, to uncover more about these iconic figures, the history of the gladiator awaits, rich, vibrant, and ever surprising.